In the previous lesson, we talked about economic systems and institutions, the rules of the game that shape how society functions. We found that without these rules, there can be no order, no stability, and no long-term development. But here's the big question. Why do some countries become rich while others stay poor, even when they have the same resources? Why do laws actually work in some states, while in others everything depends on connections and personal deals? That's where institutional economics comes in. Welcome to Lesson 3 of our comprehensive course on macroeconomics. Today, we'll break down what institutional economics is and why it matters, the role of the state in shaping institutions, why institutional quality is the key to development, and the difference between inclusive and extractive institutions. And at the end of this video, you'll be able to download a free PDF lesson with diagrams, explanations, and all the key ideas. Let's dive in. What is institutional economics? For a long time, classical economics believed that economic growth depends on three things: capital, meaning money, machines, and buildings; labor, people; and technology. If you had those, the economy would grow. Simple, right? But practice showed us that it's not enough. Institutional economics adds a fourth fundamental element: the rules of the game. And these aren't just laws written on paper. They're the real mechanisms that shape how people and organizations interact. Traditions, social norms, customs, courts, political structures. All of these decide whether markets run efficiently, whether investments are safe, and whether you can actually trust a contract. Back in the 19th century, Thorstein Veblen pointed out that economics is not abstract math, but human behavior, deeply shaped by culture and institutions. Later, in the 20th century, Nobel laureate Douglas North refined the idea. Institutions are the rules of the game. Organizations and people are the players. The kind of rules you have determines the kind of game you play. Think of it like football. If the rules are clear and the referee is fair, the game is exciting, and the result depends on the skill of the players. But if the referee takes bribes, players use their hands, and goals are awarded because of connections, the whole championship becomes chaos. The same is true for an economy. Weak institutions create uncertainty, corruption, and disorder. Strong institutions, on the other hand, give people and businesses the confidence to plan, invest, and grow, without the constant fear that their efforts could be destroyed by chance or by someone more powerful. The role of the state in institutional economics. The state is the main architect of institutions. It defines the framework, the rules of the game. Let's break down the key roles the state plays. 1. Protecting property rights. Without this, there are no investments. Why would anyone build a factory if it could be taken away tomorrow? For example, in the 19th century, the US experienced rapid growth largely because property rights were reliably protected. 2. Enforcing contracts. Strong courts ensure agreements are respected. If a borrower knows the court will make them repay, lenders are willing to give loans. Or think about online shopping. You pay with your card because you trust that, in case of fraud, the bank and the legal system will protect you. 3. Regulating markets. Markets don't always work perfectly on their own. Without rules, you get monopolies, unfair competition, negative externalities, when a company makes profit but pushes the costs, like pollution, onto society. The state's role in market regulation, antitrust laws. In 1911, the U.S. Supreme Court broke up Standard Oil into 34 companies because it controlled 90% of the market. That move reopened competition. Quality and safety standards. We can't test every medicine or food product ourselves, so governments set safety rules to protect consumers. Environmental regulations. Left unchecked, businesses may chase profit while ignoring long-term damage. Taxes on emissions, fines, and incentives for green tech help balance this out. Market regulation is not about banning. It's about creating fair, safe rules. Just like in chess, the winner is the one with the best strategy. 4. Redistributing income. Markets naturally create inequality. Some get rich, others are left with the minimum. Without redistribution, social tensions rise. Progressive taxes ensure that those who earn more contribute more, funding pensions, unemployment benefits, and subsidies for the most vulnerable. 5. Building infrastructure and human capital. Citizens and businesses pay taxes, and the state invests them into roads, universities, and hospitals. These are long-term investments that benefit everyone and build the foundation for a healthy economy and society. A great example is Singapore, which invested heavily in education and ports, turning itself into one of the world's biggest hubs. So, the real question is, how much state should there be in the economy? Too little state power leads to chaos and the law of the strongest. Too much power creates stagnation and bureaucracy. The golden middle is a state that sets fair rules, enforces them, and at the same time, encourages initiative and innovation. Institutional quality. Institutions can exist on paper, but the real question is, do they actually work in practice? Key indicators of institutional quality include rule of law. Do laws apply equally to everyone? Regulatory quality. Do rules support business growth rather than block it? Control of corruption. Are decisions made through proper procedures, not bribes? Government effectiveness. Does the state deliver essential services like education, security, and infrastructure? Political stability. Do rules remain consistent, or do they collapse every time the government changes? To measure institutional quality, there are international indexes, such as Worldwide Governance Indicators by the World Bank, Corruption Perceptions Index by Transparency International. Let's look at some examples. Switzerland. Stable legal system, low corruption, high trust in banks and businesses. Venezuela. Vast resources but weak institutions, leading to hyperinflation and capital flight. The takeaway is clear. It's not resources that make a country wealthy, but the quality of its institutions and their ability to be applied effectively. Inclusive versus extractive institutions. In the previous lesson, we already touched on inclusive and extractive institutions. Let's revisit them. Daron Acemoglu and James Robinson, in their book Why Nations Fail, present a simple yet powerful idea. Inclusive institutions bring citizens into the economy, ensure equal rules of the game, and encourage innovation. Example: England after the Glorious Revolution of 1688. Parliamentary control limited the monarchy, creating a predictable system that supported growth and innovation. Extractive institutions serve a narrow elite, extracting resources from the rest of society. Example: colonial regimes, where resources benefited only a small group. The most striking example is North and South Korea. One nation, shared culture, but completely different institutional frameworks. South Korea became a high-tech, prosperous economy, while North Korea turned into a closed dictatorship with chronic shortages. In short, institutional quality is the practical implementation of inclusiveness in modern economies. Institutions and economic growth. High-quality institutions create predictability. Businesses know they won't be shut down arbitrarily tomorrow. Investors know their money is protected. Innovations are rewarded, not punished. Weak institutions, on the other hand, breed uncertainty, leading to capital flight, because investors won't risk money where the legal system is unreliable. Shadow economies, where businesses operate in the shadows to avoid taxes or regulation. Consider the resource curse. Norway created a transparent system through its sovereign wealth fund, investing for future generations. Nigeria had oil revenues for decades, but weak institutions meant most money vanished into corrupt schemes. These examples show that the strength and reliability of institutions determine whether a country can turn its resources into development or whether those same resources become a source of problems and instability. Institutions are the foundation. Without them, even natural wealth or modern technologies won't bring real growth. Modern challenges. Institutions are not static. They evolve with the world. Today, they face new challenges that demand adaptation and innovative solutions. Globalization. The world is increasingly interconnected. States cede parts of their sovereignty to international organizations, the EU, WTO, IMF, UN. This creates new rules. Laws, standards, and policies must align with global norms. Countries that fail to adapt risk losing competitiveness. Technology. And big tech companies like Google, Amazon, and Meta often wield more power than some states. How do we regulate these giants to prevent monopolies, protect consumers, and avoid political influence? Institutions must balance technological progress with public interest. Financial innovations. Cryptocurrencies and decentralized finance challenge traditional institutions. Central banks and governments need new tools. Digital currencies, crypto regulation, and financial stability measures, while still leaving space for innovation. Political crises and wars. Conflicts, revolutions, or political instability can destroy institutions. Rebuilding the rule of law, trust in government, and economic stability after such shocks can take decades. Countries without strong, flexible institutions risk falling into cycles of chaos and stagnation. Modern challenges show that institutions are a living organism. They must evolve along with the world. Institutions are not just laws. They are the real rules that shape our daily lives. The quality of institutions determines whether an economy is stable, innovative, and fair. Strong institutions mean the rule of law, control of corruption, effective regulation, and long-term stability. Weak institutions lead to chaos, stagnation, and loss of trust. Remember, countries become wealthy not because of resources, but because of clear and fair rules of the game. Strong institutions equals strong economy. A PDF lesson summary, complete with diagrams and key ideas, is available below this video. If you found this lesson useful, support our channel with a like, subscription, or donation. And let us know in the comments how valuable this lesson was for you. In the next lesson, we'll cover economic agents and economic flows, the circular flow of income and expenditure. See you in the next lesson.